The Bavarian Bell by Dream a Little Longer. Chapter 1. The Dream Train. The train did not run on steel tracks but on silence and intention. It moved through the world like a thought, its carriages carved from polished cherry wood that held the scent of 100 forgotten autumns. Inside, deep velvet seats absorbed all sound, and the windows were not glass but polished crystal that showed the world not as it was, but as it dreamt of being. This was the Wunschzug, the wish train, and it came only for those who were looking for something they could not name. Her name was Elara, and she was a cartographer of feelings. Others mapped coastlines and continents. She mapped the echoes of wonder left behind in quiet places. In her satchel was a leather-bound sketchbook, its pages filled not with precise drawings, but with smudges of colour, impressions of light, and single words that tried to hold the essence of a moment. Her journey had begun not with a ticket, but with a whisper in her heart, a deep, aching need to find the magic that the noise and hurry of her own world had drowned out. She was not running away from her life, but trying to learn how to listen to it again. The train glided through a landscape of blurred colours, a world half-formed. Elara watched it pass, her reflection a faint superimposition on the crystal pane. She was a ghost travelling through a dream, searching for something real. Chapter 2. The First Breath. The train slowed, its silent glide easing to a stop with the grace of a settling feather. Through the crystal pane, a station materialized from the late dusk. It was a quaint Bavarian dream, its eaves ornately carved, its platforms lit by the soft, warm glow of iron lanterns that seemed to burn with captured starlight. Mist curled around the cobblestones like a sleeping cat. The sign, written in elegant looping script, did not name a town, but an invitation. Begin. The door slid open with a sigh. Elara was the only one to step off the train. The air that greeted her was a living thing, cool, crisp and clean. It tasted of pine, damp earth and myth. It was the first real thing she had felt in a long time. She stood alone on the platform as the Wunschzug dissolved back into the twilight, leaving her in a profound and perfect silence. There was no schedule here, no clock tower, only the slow, rhythmic pulse of the lanterns. She pulled her sketchbook from her satchel, but left it closed. First, she had to breathe, in and out, the quiet breath of ancient air. With a sense of purpose she had not felt in years, she took her first step onto the path leading away from the station toward the looming silhouette of a deep, dark forest. Chapter 3. The Whispering Woods. The forest beckoned. Its entrance was an archway of ancient gnarled trees, their branches reaching for each other like the clasped hands of old friends. The moment Elara passed beneath them, the world changed. The air grew cooler, and the last of the evening light was filtered through the dense canopy, painting the world in the soft pastel blues of a perpetual twilight. Moss, thick as a velvet carpet, hushed her footsteps, making her feel like a phantom in a sacred place. This was a library of ages, and its books were the trees. She strolled, her gaze drawn to the bark, which was not merely bark, but scripture. In the twist of a branch, the scar of a lightning strike, the intricate patterns of the moss, she could see them, subtle, organic, runic shapes that seemed to hum with a language older than words. She reached out, her fingers tracing a spiral on a massive oak. A faint, tingling warmth spread through her hand, a greeting from the heart of the woods, a confirmation that she was welcome to read its stories. Chapter 4. The Guardian's Gaze. She felt it before she saw it, a shift in the stillness, the feeling of being observed by something ancient and wise. The gentle hum of the woods focused into a single, resonant note. She paused, her breath held, her heart calm. There, between the pillars of two colossal pines, it stood, a wolf, majestic and immense, its form woven from shadow and mist. It was not a creature of flesh and blood, but a ghostly echo, a guardian spirit whose eyes held the silver light of distant stars. It flickered at the edges, dissolving and reforming with each slow breath of the forest. It was a living piece of the wood's oldest dream. Fear did not touch her. There was no menace in its form, only a profound sense of authority. The wolf watched her for a long moment, a silent question in its gaze. "Why have you come?" Elara did not speak, but answered with her heart, projecting the feeling of her quest, the search for wonder, the desire to listen. She gave a slow, respectful nod. The guardian of the woods seemed to nod back, a ripple in its misty form, a silent acknowledgement. Then, as gracefully as it appeared, it dissolved completely into the gloaming, leaving behind only the scent of ozone and the deep, resonant silence of its approval. The path ahead seemed to glow faintly, now an invitation rather than a trial. Chapter 5. The Golden Ritual. The path the wolf had guarded led her gently out of the deep woods. The twilight blues began to bleed into a warm, breathtaking light. Elara emerged from the trees and gasped, her hand flying to her chest. Before her, the world fell away into rolling hills, bathed in the splendor of a perfect sunset. It was a vast German vineyard, the rows of vines creating elegant flowing lines across the landscape. The sky was a painterly masterpiece, a gradient of molten gold and crushed raspberry, fading into a soft lavender haze at its zenith. This was not just a place, she knew, but a feeling, a moment of quiet, sacred ritual painted across the heavens. She walked down a narrow path, the earth still warm from the day's sun, the scent of grapes and soil rising to meet her. Her steps were slow, deliberate. This was a place for reverence. The silence was different here, not the ancient stillness of the forest, but a warm, complete silence, pregnant with life and sun. Chapter 6. Drifting Sunlight. As she walked deeper into the vineyard, the magic became playful. Tiny, luminous orbs of light, like spores of dormant sunlight, began to rise from the earth and drift on the breeze between the rows of vines. They were joined by ethereal, translucent petals, though there were no flowers to be seen. It was the vineyard's secret life, a joyful exhalation at the end of a long day of soaking in the sun. Elara laughed, a soft, quiet sound she hadn't made in years. She paused, holding out her hand. An orb, warm and gently pulsing, drifted into her palm, lingered for a second like a curious firefly, and then floated on. A petal brushed against her cheek, soft as a kiss. She opened her sketchbook, and using a piece of charcoal, didn't try to draw the orbs, but instead sketched the feeling of their light, swirling, gentle, and warm. Chapter 7. The Castle of Waking. Dreams. Following the flow of the glowing orbs, Elara crested a final hill, and there it stood, a dream made of stone. Neuschwanstein Castle rose from a sea of autumn mist, its iconic towers and turrets piercing the lavender dusk. It wasn't a static monument. It felt alive, a silent testament to the power of a single, magnificent dream. As she watched, transfixed, the castle began to breathe. From its courtyards and windows, a soft, warm light began to pulse, making the very stones glow from within. Then, one by one, they came, ethereal, softly glowing paper lanterns detaching from the castle as if released from its heart and beginning a slow, graceful ascent into the sky. They were silent, beautiful, each one a whispered farewell, a promise carried on the breeze. Elara understood. The castle was exhaling the dreams and wonder of all who had ever looked upon it. Chapter 8. The Golden Stillness. A single lantern detached from the river of light and drifted towards her, beckoning her down a winding path. It led her to a place that should not have been there, a vast canvas tent, its entrance flaps gently swaying. From within came not noise, but a deep, resonant hum of golden light. She stepped inside and entered a memory. It was the essence of Oktoberfest, distilled into a single serene dream. Hundreds of ornate lanterns hung above, their collective light turning the air to liquid gold. Long wooden tables stretched into the hazy distance, but they were occupied not by people, but by calm, indistinct silhouettes. They raised their steins in a slow, timeless toast, their movements graceful and silent. Translucent golden petals drifted from the tent's ceiling, catching the light as they fell. The air was thick with the feeling of joy, but it was a quiet, nostalgic joy, warm and enveloping. It was the echo of 1,000 celebrations, the sense of camaraderie without the chaos. Elara stood among the silhouettes, a part of the memory, and felt the profound beauty in a shared moment of golden stillness. Chapter 9. A Farewell in Light. The Wunschzug was waiting for her at the station, its lights a soft welcome in the deepening twilight. Her journey, she knew, was complete. Her sketchbook was not full, but it was heavy with the weight of feelings captured. The return felt different from the arrival. Not an ache of longing, but a quiet fullness. She settled into her velvet seat and looked out the crystal window one last time as the train began its silent departure. The Bavaria she had walked through, the forest, the vineyard, the glowing castle, began to slide past the window. As the train gained speed, the world outside blurred, not into an indistinct smear, but into beautiful, ethereal streaks of light. The deep greens of the forest, the molten gold of the vineyard, and the lavender of the twilight sky wove together into luminous threads of memory. She was leaving a dream she had only just found, but she knew, with a certainty that warmed her to her core, that it would never truly leave her. Chapter 10. The Echo's Light. The final page of her journey was not about her. It was about what she left behind and what she took with her. The dream train vanished, leaving behind the quiet, misty hills of Bavaria under a sky now dusted with the first stars. The world was still and silent. Then, from the heart of the landscape, a single, softly glowing lantern emerged. It was the last echo of the castle's breath, the final note of the vineyard's song, the lingering warmth of the golden tent. It rose slowly, peacefully, a beacon of distilled wonder against the dark canvas of the night. It was the echo Elara had been searching for, a tangible piece of magic, a light to carry within her. The journey had ended, but the dream lingered, an echo of Bavaria, held forever in the quiet corners of the world, waiting for the next traveller with a listening heart.